Welcome to Am I the A-Hole, where OP announces her pregnancy just 2 days after her nephew's death, leaving OP's sister-in-law devastated. I, 33-year-old female, have been married to my husband, James, 35-year-old male, for 5 years. My mother-in-law and my husband's siblings never liked me and never considered me a part of the family. However, my father-in-law is not like them, and he treats every family member alike. During the last 3 years, I had 2 miscarriages, but I am lucky enough to get pregnant again so soon. Whenever I had a miscarriage, my sister-in-law called me a demon, unlucky, and so on, and said that I could never give a child to the family. This left me devastated, but I didn't say a word to her or to my mother-in-law. During our 3rd pregnancy, my husband and I decided that we would only announce my pregnancy after the 10th week is passed. As my 10th week started, the youngest son of my sister-in-law passed away because of cancer. This left my sister-in-laws devastated. My husband attended the funeral, but I didn't, because we didn't want anyone to see my pregnancy before we officially announce it. For the last 6 months, my husband and I have lived far from our family. When my husband returned from the funeral, the 10th week of our pregnancy had passed, and we were on the safer side, so we decided to announce my pregnancy. We officially announced our pregnancy and shared my pregnancy pictures in the family group, and we also shared them on social media. When my sister-in-law learned about the announcement, she called me and asked why I did announce my pregnancy just 2 days after my nephew's death. I told her that the announcement had nothing to do with the death of her son. She said it was mean of me to rub salt in her wounds. I made it clear that I didn't mean anything like that, and explained that we had already decided on the date of the pregnancy announcement. But she was not ready to listen. I got angry and told her I did the right thing because she had mocked me about my miscarriages and treated me as if I had no feelings. I reminded her that those miscarriages were also the deaths of my children, and she had always made fun of me and the deaths of my children. She said that miscarriage and death are 2 different things, and I must apologize for hurting her. I told her I would never apologize for this, because announcing a pregnancy is not a crime. She yelled at me, but I didn't listen and hung up the call. In the evening, my husband and I got angry calls from my in-laws telling us that we were very apathetic for not caring about the death of our nephew and announcing my pregnancy. I tried to tell them that the announcement was not meant to disrespect our late nephew. My mother-in-law also cut all ties with us and asked us not to come to their home. Now, my husband and I are confused and unable to decide whether what we did was wrong or right. So, are we the jerks? And we also need your advice for the future. OP is an AH for not caring about his sister-in-law's feelings, and OP's sister-in-law is also an AH for mocking her in the past and telling her she is unable to give birth. So I would give OP 3 out of 5 on the AH scale, and OP's sister-in-law 3.5 out of 5. Welcome to another Am I the A-Hole, where OP refuses to cook for his father's stepkids, and when his father insisted, he said that he didn't cook for his stepkids because he hate him. I, 17-year-old male, recently refused to cook for my father's stepkids because I don't like them. When I declined, my stepmom, Nancy, 39-year-old female, called me a jerk for it. My father, James, 45-year-old male, argued with me and blamed my mother for turning me against him. I then told him that I didn't cook for his stepkids because I dislike being at his home with his wife and kids, and "I hate you" slipped out. Since then, my father has not spoken to me. Background: my parents got separated when my mom, Olivia, a 44-year-old female, caught my father, James, cheating on her with my mom's cousin, Nancy. After this incident, fights started between my parents. Our family tried to intervene to salvage their marriage, but their constant conflicts eventually led to their separation. We loved both of our parents, but after our father cheated on our mom, a grudge against him developed in my heart, particularly because of his infidelity. Despite this, I respect him. After my parents separated, my father remarried my mom's cousin Nancy. A year and a half ago, Nancy has 2 children from her previous marriage, 7M and 10F, my 2 siblings, 5M and 9F, and I live with our mom, but we visit our dad every other weekend as mandated by the court. I have a passion for cooking and plan to pursue culinary arts after high school. I often cook for my siblings and mom when she is at work, and sometimes even when she is at home. However, I have never cooked at my father's house because I don't enjoy being there with my father and stepmom. Recently, my father discovered my cooking skills and that I prepare meals for my family. He appreciated it and asked me to cook for him. I didn't want to cook, so I told my father that I was busy studying and said I would cook on some other days. This way, I avoided becoming a cook for my father. Last week, my stepmom gave birth to a child with my father. At that time, I was at my mom's house. While they were in the hospital, my father called me and asked me to go to his home and cook for his stepkids. I told my father that I could not go there because that week I was supposed to be with my mother and that I would not cook for his stepkids. My father asked what the problem was for not cooking for them when I know how to cook. I told him that I only cook for my siblings and sometimes for my mom, but I was not going to cook for any random kids. My father argued that his stepkids are also my siblings, but I disagreed, stating that they are not my siblings, and I never considered them as such. The following week, when I visited my father's home, he expressed disappointment in me for not cooking for his stepkids. I explained to him that cooking for his stepkids was not my responsibility. My stepmom also chimed in, calling me a jerk for not cooking for their children and accusing me of discrimination. I told my stepmom that they are her children and she should arrange for their meals and other things and should not put her responsibilities on me. Then I left their home and returned to my mom's. When my mom asked why I returned so soon, I told her about the behavior of my father and stepmom and what they were expecting me to do for my father's stepkids. My mom called my father and asked him why he was forcing me to cook for his stepkids. She mentioned that I was just a kid and didn't have such a responsibility. My father responded that he didn't force me, but simply requested me to cook because his wife was in the hospital and there was no one else to look after his kids and cook for them. Then I took the phone from my mother and told my father that I would not visit him anymore. After hearing this, my father got angry and said that cooking was just an excuse and that I was doing all this to avoid going to his house, and he accused my mom of poisoning me against him. I told him that my mom had nothing to do with it, and it was I who didn't want to visit him because I hate it, and I said, I hate you as well. After hearing this, my father suddenly went silent and then hung up the phone. I don't hate my father, I just didn't want my parents to separate, and I had a bad feeling for my father because he was responsible for their separation. I hate you just slipped out, and I didn't mean it. I believe there are multiple parties at fault in this situation. OP's father is somewhat in the wrong for demanding that OP cook for his step-siblings. However, OP is a big AH for escalating the situation by turning a minor argument into a heated one between his parents and expressing hatred towards his father. While OP's father's demands were unreasonable, OP's reaction was also inappropriate. I would rate OP at 2.5 out of 5 on the AH scale and his father at 1 out of 5. Additionally, OP's stepmother is also at fault for labeling her stepson as an AH simply because he refused to cook for her children. So, I would rate her 2 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now move on to an r/relationship, where OP's girlfriend demands that he should not reply to his ex-girlfriend's message, and OP considers this as controlling behavior. My girlfriend Jane, 27-year-old female, and I, 26-year-old male, have been in a long-distance relationship for over 7 months. We visit each other once a month or so. 3 weeks ago, we officially announced our relationship. After the announcement, I posted a picture of myself with my girlfriend on Facebook. A week ago, my ex-girlfriend messaged me with a simple, "Hey, how are you?" I think she messaged me after seeing my picture with my girlfriend. Whatever. I mentioned this to my partner, and although we didn't discuss it much, it was silently implied that I shouldn't reply. I've been catching up on messages that I've left unanswered, and I found one from her. I'm contemplating whether to reply just to be polite, even though it may seem like a weak reason. I value empathy and don't like being ignored, so I'm considering responding to avoid leaving her on read. My girlfriend has trust issues from past relationships, and when I mentioned replying to my ex-girlfriend, she ignored my message. We didn't text for a while, but later on a call, she expressed discomfort with me replying. I have past relationship trauma with being controlled, so I struggle with compromising on this boundary. I don't want to jeopardize our relationship over a simple conversation, but explaining my perspective led to her dismissing my feelings and insisting on her boundaries. I offered to make myself uncomfortable to respect her wishes, but she didn't seem to appreciate it. She mentioned that she didn't want to see the messages, suggesting that I could delete some before showing her. I offered to reply on WhatsApp where messages can be seen being deleted, or on Instagram, stating that I won't be talking to her anymore to respect my girlfriend's wishes. However, she feels that this puts the decision on her. We both have strong feelings about this, but she is not willing to compromise. We didn't resolve the issue, and I'm unsure how to proceed. I need Redditor's advice on it. I think there is a trust issue between OP and his girlfriend, and the best solution to this problem seems to be open communication. What do the Mac Reddit fans think? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like the stories I brought you, just hit the like button, share them as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to Mac Reddit for a daily dose. Bye bye, see you tomorrow with some more spicy fries.